What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Saturdays in the SEC, episode 161. We're keeping the streak alive now. 3 consecutive podcasts, 3 consecutive firings in the SEC, and I'm pretty sure y'all can guess this one. Hugh Freeze out as Auburn head football coach in the middle of his third season. 15 and 19 overall record, went 6 and 16 in the SEC. Obviously, the way the game went on Saturday night against Kentucky, anybody with a brain knew that was the final nail in the coffin for the Freeze era at Auburn, with a 10-3 just dismal loss to Kentucky at home. But I've been really curious to get your thoughts on this the last couple of days. So give me, kind of what went wrong with Hugh Freeze at Auburn, and then kind of where you see them going forward with some potential candidates.
Well, what went wrong was the offense. I mean, that's plain as day. Anybody who watched half of the games could tell you that. Hired him to be, offensive guru, quarterback whisperer, whatever. And consistently, year after year, the last 3 years, even when in his first year when they didn't have a strong roster, consistently the offense was the worst part of the team by a landslide. Could not consistently sustain drives. The quarterbacks didn't get better week in and week out. Every year, year one, year two, year three, each season, the offense got worse each game. That is the highlight number one reason that you know that it is bad coaching. Defense has gotten better and better and better. We've talked about Hugh never had his hand in on the defense. It was all DJ doing what he wanted to do with his staff. And they clearly got better and better and better. The offense got worse and worse and worse year after year. So that's what was frustrating, is clearly there's not great coaching there and not great development. But it was just a bunch of ways to find ways to lose ball games. That's what Hugh Freeze calling card was he found ways to lose games, found ways to give it away. So I was calling for this after the Texas A&M game. You could see in that game alone, the offense was, even Oklahoma, but the offense was just not there against Texas A&M, and it was just frustrating. And then that snowballed into Georgia. The offense wasn't there, non-existent in the second half, and then it's non-existent in the second half again against Missouri. It's just, and then you go and play the second worst team in conference, really third worst team in conference now, but at the time, second worst team in conference, and they flat out embarrass you, man. I mean, this was, you could see this coming from 10 miles away. We've been calling for it for a while. Not surprised. Was the only thing I'm surprised about is it didn't happen a few weeks previous. But that being said, it's done. John Cohen, Auburn's athletic director, says that he is the committee. There is no committee searching for a coach. It's just him. Not sure if I 100% buy in on that. We'll see. Traditionally at Auburn, it's not been that way. He is for sure that he's the only one. So we'll see. Whoever it is that's pulling the trigger on the hire, they can't miss. Go out. I say take a shot, man. Get somebody that's never been a head coach, or get somebody that's never been a head coach in the SEC, because there's only a few to pick from if you go that route that has played coach in the SEC. Kirby Smart, before he got to Georgia, was never a head coach in the SEC. Mike Elko was never a head coach in the SEC before he went to Duke, or before he came to A&M. He was a head coach at Duke for 2 seasons, but never a head man in the SEC. There's a couple more that you can name. Drinkwitz was never a head coach in the SEC before he went to Missouri. Look what he's doing. I mean, there's several different examples of that, but I just think, obviously they're going to do their due diligence, whatever. There's lots of names out there. I've said Jeff Lebby. I really think that if you got Jeff Lebby in that offense and you're able to keep Durkin, that's a really tough team to play. Doubt that happens. He's probably going to stay at Mississippi State until Oklahoma comes calling, if I had to guess. Jeff Traylor out there from UTSA, there's been some rumblings that he could be getting it. A lot of rumblings around John Summerall. Obviously, he's been the hot name for every coaching vacancy. It seems like so. What I'm curious to see is obviously who they go get, but really who decides to go to all these other open vacancy jobs and how that's going to affect the coaching market then. Because like a Clark Lee, if Penn State comes calling, that's a tough job to turn down. If I don't think this is going to happen, I really don't. But if Shane Beamer decides to leave South Carolina and get out while they're getting good and go somewhere else, or there's going to be coaches that leave places. Lane Kiffin may leave somewhere, may leave Ole Miss and go somewhere. So the places that are going to be replaced from the coaches leaving is what I'm most intrigued about. I do think that Auburn is going to go out. They're probably going to swing for the fences for sure and try to get a big name, but They can't miss again. If they miss again, Auburn's going to be in the dark for quite some time. They're definitely in the midst of it right now, but if they miss anymore, it's Auburn. Auburn will become the doormat of the SEC, and it has no business being that because in the last 15 years, there's been 4 SEC teams that won a national championship. That's Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and Auburn. In the last 20 years, there's been 5 SEC teams that's won a national championship. You can have Florida in that list. So this Auburn's program is not the doormat of the SEC. It's that right now. And if they miss again, it will become that way for quite some time. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see where they go with this, and like you said, I think a lot's going to be dictated on what happens with some of the other vacancies. But I mean, it definitely seems John Summerall's one that's getting a ton of talk, a ton of traction, just in the media and with a lot of fans. And I mean, unless you go get a guy like a James Franklin or somebody along those lines, like you're probably going to have to go get somebody like a John Summerall, somebody who hasn't, done it in the Power 4 level yet, but so like Georgia did that with Kirby. They took a gamble, a guy who'd never been a head coach before. Obviously Oregon did that with Dan Lanning, and they invested it heavily into him, and now they're reaping the benefits of that and letting him grow into being a Cignetti, yeah. I mean, just allowing those guys to grow into being, elite head coaches, and you're probably going to have to take and kind of let them learn on the job a little bit, because I mean, people talk about players developing all the time and guys getting better from year to year. I mean, same thing with coaches, like especially if you're a young head coach, like you're going to take your lumps as well. Like you're not going to be perfect, so. John Summerall at least has been a head coach, so that's a good thing. So I mean, if I just had to make a prediction as of tonight, I think that's probably where I would go with it. But you just never know. Sometimes these ADs and stuff, they don't go with the most obvious candidate. You know what I mean? The one that's talked about the most. So I don't think there's any locks at this point at all. There's just so much unknown out there right now, but yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with Hugh Freeze. Offensively, number one, I cannot believe the offensive line is this bad. I mean, that is one thing. Now, quarterback, that's been a problem. Obviously, they haven't hit on that, and that's ultimately the main reason that he doesn't have a job anymore. It's because they never got the quarterback right. That's point number one. But, man, number two is I did not expect Auburn's offensive line to be this bad this year. I thought as a veteran group, I thought they were going to be, at least pretty solid. But, man, they are downright awful. I mean, and, the quarterbacks are getting a lot of the heat, and rightfully so, a lot of that. But, man, playing behind this offensive line is not easy at all. I mean, that was flat out embarrassing the other night. I mean, pressures up the A and B gaps all night long. I mean, and again, quarterbacks not turning the ball loose, not feeling confident for whatever reason. So, yeah, I mean, it's a combination of several of those things is the reason he's not there anymore. But, there was some really good things. The talent on the roster is obviously much better than when he got there. So, I mean, he's definitely, even though he ultimately failed, he's leaving it in a better place than when he got there, certainly from a talent perspective. But at the end of the day, it's a results-based business, and 15-19 in the middle of your third year, 6-16 in the SEC is not going to cut it anywhere in the SEC, and especially at Auburn.
Yeah, 100%. Before we move on from the coaching talks, I truly believe I would love to have DJ. I know there's some bad press around him from previous head coaching stops. There's talks of bad culture there in that building, and then we all know what happened to one of the players there. I don't think I think he's a much different person now, but I think that has more to do with the one man in the building. Could be wrong though, but I tell you this: if Auburn, this is not likely, but if Auburn wins out, DJ Durkin's going to be the next head man. If he can beat Vanderbilt, Mercer, and Alabama, DJ Durkin will be your next Auburn head coach. I don't see that happening. I don't see it being a high possibility. I think DJ Durkin is retained by whoever comes in next. I think he stays on staff. I think he's done plenty to stay on staff. They need to back up a Brinks truck to his door to keep him there. Got to have some continuity there a little bit with some of the coaching staff, I feel like, with a new coach coming in, whoever it will be. But I do truly think that if he wins out, that Durkin will be the next head man. Again, probably not likely. But going back to, let's jump to the Auburn-Kentucky game now. Going back to what you just said about the offensive line being so bad for Auburn. Kentucky had 7 sacks on Saturday and 13 tackles for loss. They were all in the backfield. Quarterbacks had no time to do anything. They're scrambling out, just trying to keep a play alive. It was pretty bad. Auburn ran the ball okay, but not really, really well. Could never keep anything going. Auburn had 10 possessions. 7 of them ended in a punt. 1 of them ended in a field goal. 1 was a turnover on downs, and 1 was an interception the last drive of the game when he heaved it up to the end zone. Now, Kentucky was not much better. They were better, and they found a way to win. But there was 20 total possessions in this ball game. 13 ended in punts. 13 of 20 possessions ended in punts. 3 of them ended in an interception. 1 ended in a touchdown. 2 ended in field goals. And then you can say there was 1 that ended in a turnover on downs. I'm going to throw that into the punt. So 14 punt or turnover on downs, whatever. 3 interceptions, 2 field goals, and 1 touchdown. This was potentially the most boring game of the college football season so far. I mean, both teams were not great. I think Stoops might have bought himself a little more time there in Kentucky with this win. A freshman quarterback going on the road, he made some plays. Yeah, he turned it over a couple times, but it never shook him. You never saw his confidence waver. They found a way to get they sustained a drive and were able to punch it in right there at a half, and it was pretty much over after that. They did whatever they wanted to defensively. I thought that this was probably Kentucky's best defensive performance all season. I mean, holding the team to 3 points, and if Auburn doesn't get an interception, they don't get the short field to even get a field goal. So they very well could have gone into Auburn and shut Auburn out at minus 1 turnover. Now, Auburn defensively had 2 picks they dropped early in the game. Had an interception late in the game that would have given Auburn a favorable field position to potentially go score and tie it up. But intercepts it, and then he fumbles it right back. Just things weren't going Auburn's way, and Kentucky made Auburn pay when it counted. But just Auburn could do nothing. And again, just the 10 possessions, 7 of them ending in punts. That's how you knew. Okay, yeah, this offense it's not it. Hugh Freeze's time is up. I was shocked at just the not the body language, but just the I don't know. It's like Auburn didn't want to be there. It's what it looked like on Saturday. Kentucky wanted it more. Again, both these teams played not great. It was a very ugly ball game, but you could tell that Kentucky wanted it more than Auburn did, and Auburn quit after halftime is what it looked like to me.
Yeah, I mean, God bless you if you watch this one all the way through, which I know both of us did. It was up there with one of the more boring games of all time, for sure.
Undercashed, though. The undercashed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You cashed that baby easy. I mean, you had over under 44.5. You only had 13. So that's a big day for the under crowd, for sure. Auburn, only 241 yards total offense, second lowest this year, which is crazy. That's crazy. That's not the lowest. They're shut out in the second half. You mentioned it, Kentucky's defense, 7 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. I mean, this is no 85 Bears defense either. I mean, so to allow that on your home field is pretty embarrassing for sure. And then, yeah, you said Auburn forced a couple takeaways, only got 3 points off those. You mentioned if they don't get that turnover or one of those turnovers, then they may get shut out at home. And I think this would have been different if this was on the road or if you lost like 24-21 or something like that. But the fact that you lost it in the manner in which you lost it, I thought it was over after that Missouri game when he walked off the field. I was like, okay, that's it. But I was like 95% certain then. But after this game, I was like, it's 100%. If he's not fired on Sunday, I'll be absolutely shocked. Because when you have that kind of crowd and you have that kind of abysmal performance on offense for the umpteenth time this year, like it's just it can't continue, and obviously that was the end of the road for him. But
Auburn didn't cross the 50 until 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. That's the first time Auburn crossed the 50-yard line. give all the credit to Kentucky's defense. Again, they played really well. Kentucky's defense played extremely well this game. But Auburn not crossing the 50 until 3 minutes to go in the second quarter at home against arguably the worst defense in conference, second worst defense in conference. I mean, it's embarrassing is putting it lightly. This game rivaled the New Mexico State loss in Hugh's first year with the amount of embarrassing that it was. Like those are the only two games I can remember in recent years that has just been, oh my God, I'm embarrassed watching this game.
I believe, I think in just short of 3 years, I think he lost 11 home games. I believe that's right. I mean, that can't happen, especially there with the atmosphere that they put out, week in and week out for home games to lose 11 home games in less than 3 years, and like I said, 6-16 in the SEC, one of the worst marks during that stretch. It just, and especially this year with the investment in the roster, and you had to get quarterback right. I mean, it was you had to get that right. There was. Well, last year they were more than a quarterback away, so you didn't spend that extra to go get one. And then this year you put your eggs in the wrong basket. I mean, that's really the cut and dry of it there. And but yeah, I mean, give a lot of credit to Kentucky though. They played great defensively. Did enough to get a big win for them. I mean, their first SEC win of the year. So, like I said, Mark Stoops trying to. Put a run together here to stay up there in Lexington. So, but yeah, it was tough on the eyes for sure, and curious to see where this coaching search goes over the next month or so.
100%. All right, moving on to the cocktail party, Georgia and Florida. Man, this game was one of the more exciting games of the day, in my opinion. Both teams, I thought played pretty well. Considering the circumstances, Florida played really well under an interim coach. I think Gunnar Stockton has grown tremendously over the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's been good, obviously, since the Tennessee game, but I feel like he's grown tremendously the last few weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. They started out hot, fast again for the second week in a row. Comes down, scores in their first drive. And then in the second quarter, both teams, kind of were trying to figure each other out. There were 6 punts in a row in the second quarter. And then after that, it kind of started going in what looked like Florida was going to take over the game. Florida was able to drive down and score a touchdown, tied up 17-17. And then they get a big break on the next drive, force a 3-and-out and on a bad snap sack. They go and drive down and are able to kick a field goal to take a 20-17 lead late in the third quarter. I thought right then, I was like, okay, this is Florida's game. Florida is going to have to lose this game for Georgia to win. Like, Georgia's not just going to beat them, but, I mean, I was wrong. When it counted the most, Florida's got 20-17. They're down to 4th down. They convert. There was like 6 or 7 minutes on the clock, but if they convert there, they essentially ice the game away, leave Georgia maybe 2.5 minutes at most on the clock to drive down and try and score. But Georgia comes up with a big 4th down stop, and then they drive 82 yards and score a touchdown, take the lead, and from right then, they sucked the air out of Florida right then. When they were able to get that 4th down stop and then drive pretty much the length of the field and punch it in to take the lead, you knew right then, all right, yeah, this Florida team, they're not coming back from that. I thought that they played out of their minds for the most part. They were the better team for more than half of this ball game, but if it's going to be close at the end of the game and Georgia's playing, give me Georgia. Unless they're playing Alabama. And if they're playing Alabama, I'm taking Bama every time. But if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, I'm going to take Georgia to win every time. There was a very controversial incomplete pass call there at the end of the game for Florida that could have potentially won the game for Florida. They'd have had to continue the drive. But it was a huge, huge chunk play. It would have been inside the 30 if I'm not mistaken. To me, I want to get your opinion on this. To me, I thought that it was a catch. I didn't see it clearly hit the ground. It looked like he was on his forearms the whole time. I can't believe that they called it. I mean, I know they ruled it incomplete initially. I thought there was enough to overturn it. This wasn't the only call this weekend. Officiating's been bad all season. We've talked about it. This was one of the worst officiating weekends, period. And a couple of calls happened in the SEC play. We'll cover another one here in a few more games, but that play right there, it's not like this is a 35-7 ball game and you're just like, yeah, whatever. Like that could have potentially flipped the game and had Florida winning. I thought that. I know Auburn's been screwed by a bunch of calls, so I feel for the Florida fans. That was an egregious call, in my opinion. I know, again, it was called on the field, and it seems like the SEC, whatever's called on the field this year, they're having a hard time overturning it. They've overturned a couple, but usually whatever the call on the field is, that's what they're sticking with. But I thought that was enough to overturn it. I thought it was a horrible call, and I definitely think that it had an effect on the outcome of the ball game.
Yeah, honestly, I initially thought he caught it too. It looked like I said, I think with his forearms being separated a little bit, I think if his arms are together, I think obviously they would have called it a catch. But I think with him calling that on the field, I still think it was on his forearms the whole time, though, in my opinion. I honestly, first look, and I went back and looked at it, I really think it was a catch, honestly, but obviously didn't go their way. You highlight the big fourth down stop there in the fourth quarter as Florida's up 20-17. They had it 2nd and 2 inside the 20. Get stuffed 3 straight plays. And at that point, once Georgia got that fourth down stop, I was like, yeah, they're about to drive it down here, punch it in, and probably win this game. And that's what they did. I thought if Florida could have scored there, got some more points, then obviously it's a totally different ending. But Alabama and Georgia remind me so much of each other this year. The close games, but it's like if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, they just know how to close, man. I mean,
man.
They're elite in those big moments. I mean, they know how to finish games, and it's like, man, you got to end them when you have a chance. Like, you can't let them hang in it. They're going to find a way. They've done it so many times. Both teams have, but Georgia in particular, the Tennessee game, you can't miss a game-winning field goal against them. You just can't. Like, you're going to lose that game 99% of the time. Ask Ohio State that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, the Auburn game, obviously – some very questionable calls in that game, but it's like you didn't put them away when you had the chance to.
Yep.
They end up coming back. Same thing in this game with Georgia. I mean, it's just their identity, man. They know how to find ways to win. I mean, that's on my notes here. One of my takeaways. Georgia elite in the big moments of games. Not dominant, but they know how to win, and that's this Georgia team this year. Right? This isn't 21-22 Georgia that is just dominating people, pretty much week in and week out. Like, this is just not that caliber of team, but they're still a very, very good team that knows how to win, and that's exactly why they're going to be very dangerous down the stretch. But I thought they did a good job, too, of eliminating explosive plays for Florida, especially in the run game. But, yeah, I mean, it was a great game. I figured Florida would be re-energized with the interim coach. And, you didn't know exactly how they'd come out, but they came out super inspired, and I think a lot to build on for them. They're going to be a tough out the rest of the way also because, I mean, we know this is a really talented Gator team. But I like what I saw from DJ Lagway. And overall, it was just a really good high-level SEC football game. But, man, like I said, you got to put the dogs away when you got the chance, and Florida just wasn't able to.
100%. All right, Vanderbilt and Texas. The run game essentially was non-existent for both these teams. Texas stuck with it a little more. They did end up coming away with 100 yards total on the day, but it really wasn't anything spectacular. They didn't just ground and pound all day. They really relied on Arch Manning and Diego Pavia both. Both of them went for 300-plus through the air, 3 touchdowns through the air. The biggest thing for me in this game was the start. Texas started, perfect coming out the gate, and Vanderbilt stumbled out of the gate, turning it over, couldn't get anything going early on offense. Texas scores first play of the game. Obviously, one of the better players in college football. Takes it to the house and a little quick screen, let him do his work. So first play of the game, Texas jumps up 7-0. Vandy comes out 4 plays later, fumbles it, gives the ball right back to Texas. Texas goes down, kicks a field goal. I mean, it's 17-0 in the first quarter before Vandy even realizes that they're playing a football game. Texas absolutely just stunned Vandy out of the gate, but you got to give it to Vandy. They were able to fight back and stay in it. Missed tackles were a huge problem for Vanderbilt in this game defensively. There were several tackles for loss that they had on running backs or receivers in the backfield, and they let them break free for a 15-plus yard gain. But Texas, again, the way they started this game is the whole story of the game. Texas's first 6 drives all ended in points. 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals. So their first 6 times they touched the football, they came away with points. That's the way to do it right there. Their last 3 drives, a punt, interception, or something along those lines. But Arch is starting to play like everybody expected him to play at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. It's amazing that you got to give a kid a little bit of time to experience something before you crown him a national champion and Heisman winner. Mm-hmm. I mean, my God, now that he's got 9-10 weeks under his belt, he looks really, really good. You can see why the hype was there. He is 100% playing up to his level that everybody expected now. Started out a little earlier, or slow early on in the season, but man, he's hitting his stride. He's playing extremely well. Keeps his eyes down the field, has really good poise in the pocket, is able to keep plays alive if necessary, not scared to put his head down. That's the type of guy you want to be leading your team. Your team's going to rally around him. They're getting hot at the right time. I mean, if they continue to win out, they're going to be pushing for a playoff spot. I mean, they only got 2 losses, so if they win out from here, they are going to be in the playoffs. Obviously, they got a bunch of tough games coming up, but man, I thought that this Texas team came out with a point to prove this week, and they did just that. Now, again, going on the officiating, the 2-point conversion play that made it 34-24 or whatever it was so Vandy scored and it was 34-22. Vandy goes for 2, hits a little out route, and right there at the goal line, the receiver reaches the ball to the pylon, misses the pylon, short of the pylon by this much. I mean, plain as day, doesn't touch the pylon, not even close to it, and they call it a 2-point conversion is good. They go and review it, and they still say that it's good. I know that it didn't have an effect on the game because Texas still won, so the outcome of the game didn't change. That was the worst call I've seen all year. Bar none, was not even close. Me sitting on the couch is going, oh yeah, for sure, that's not good. They're going to take that away. And they come back and they say it stands. I mean, plain as day, didn't even close to the pylon. I thought that was worst officiating call of the year so far because that was just blatant. What are we even looking at, SEC? You make yourself, the officiating for SEC makes himself the laughingstock of college football. You got arguably the best conference. We obviously think it's the best conference in college football, but you can argue one or two. You got the best conference in college football, and you have hands down the worst officiating in college football. I mean, it is an absolute joke that the SEC doesn't do something about the blatant problem it has. Nobody's going to be perfect, but be a little more transparent and don't miss blatant calls like that, especially when you go to review it. The Georgia and Auburn fumble, not blatant. Okay? Whatever. The fumble with Oklahoma and Auburn. Okay, whatever. You don't want to give Auburn a super score. It really wasn't super blatant. This right here, without a doubt, no chance does he convert that 2-point conversion, and the referees gave it to him. I want to get your thoughts, because when I was watching that live on Saturday, obviously Texas still won, but I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, as Coach O would say, look like Ray Charles was looking at that one, man. I mean, I don't know what we're looking at half the time. I don't know if they have, blind people in these replay booths, but yeah, it's crazy. Loved your point on Arch, though. That was kind of one of my main takeaways. I've absolutely loved what I've seen from him lately, especially at the end of that game against Mississippi State, rallying them to a win. I mean, this is an offensive line that hasn't played good all year, but I mean, he's standing tough in the pocket, making some things happen. Like you said, the confidence has really come on here lately. And one of my main takeaways was that if Texas gets this version of Arch the rest of the way, they're going to be a very tough out. I mean, everything's still in front of them. They were number 11 in tonight's initial college football playoff rankings. That actually just came out a little bit ago. So they're the first team out, technically. So everything's still in front of them, man. I mean, they got huge games. 2 top 5 teams the rest of the way. They got a bye week this week before going to Athens to play Georgia, and then they obviously got Texas A&M at the end of the year. So, yeah, I mean, they've got a chance to really boost their resume, and obviously, get themselves into playoff position there. But no, I mean, give Vandy a lot of credit for fighting back in this one. I mean, 21-0 in the fourth quarter, they outscored them to give themselves a fighting chance. It was just too little, too late. But like you said, Texas offense came out humming. I mean, first play of the game, Ryan Wingo, one of the more dynamic players in college football, takes it to the house. Texas defense held Vandy 58 rushing yards, got 6 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. Outside the fourth quarter, I mean, they were dominant for pretty much this entire game. So, yeah, like what I've seen. I mean, obviously, tough one for Vandy here, but they've been on such a roll, though. Same thing with them, man. Everything's in front of them. Kind of regroup here. Only 2 losses, so they're right there in the mix as well. So, got a big game against Tennessee at the end of the year. So, a chance to get a marquee victory there. But yeah, just a really good game. I'm gonna give Andy a lot of credit for fighting back in this one. But yeah, Arch and this Texas offense was definitely the story, and I'm very, very interested to see how they do the rest of this way.
Yeah, no. So Vanderbilt's probably going to be favored in the rest of their games. If I had to guess, they got Auburn this weekend. They're 6.5-point favorite. Then they got Kentucky at home. They're going to be a favorite there. They may be a 2-point underdog, 2.5-point underdog, something like that on the road at Tennessee. I still think they're probably going to be favored in that game. If they went out there, they're sitting at 10-2. I just don't see a world where there's an SEC team sitting at 10-2 that doesn't make it in the playoffs. I just don't see a world where anything. If there's multiple 10-2 teams in the SEC, I think all of them are getting in the playoffs. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking right now. Vandy's at 16, so there are a couple spots, on the outside looking in. But like you said, they run the table. Like, Texas is at 11, Oklahoma's at 12. They both got to play, some pretty tough games the rest of the way. So. There's teams in front of them that are going to have chances to fall. So I'm like you. I think they've very good chance they find themselves in there if they run the table, and I definitely think that's on the table for them for sure. So I think they're going to regroup from that one. I mean, that you saw the fight; they never threw in the towel. I mean that Texas team is a team that's obviously had some really close wins, but a team that's getting better as the year goes on. So. I mean, Vandy's only 2 losses are at Alabama and at Texas. So, I mean, 2 teams in the committee's top 12 right now. So, yeah, I think they'll regroup here and have a chance to really finish strong.
All right, Oklahoma and Tennessee. This game, you look at the box score, you look at everything on paper, you think, man, Tennessee wins this game big. On paper, Tennessee was the better team. On field, it just did not turn out that way. Tennessee threw for 393 yards to Oklahoma's 159 yards. Tennessee had 3 passing touchdowns to Oklahoma's 0 passing touchdowns. Oklahoma threw 1 interception. Tennessee threw 2 interceptions and lost a fumble. Oklahoma lost a fumble. 192 rushing yards for Oklahoma to Tennessee 63. Tennessee was 7-13 on third downs. Oklahoma was 4-10. And Oklahoma had 11 penalties for 104 yards to Tennessee's 3 penalties for 25 yards. And Oklahoma was still able to find a way to win this game. I think they got a little bit of that in them too, like we were talking about Alabama and Georgia. Not to that caliber, but they got that little bit of it to them, that's in their identity. They're going to find a way to win if it's close in the end of the game. I thought Tennessee was better for a majority of this game in lots of different facets. But Tennessee essentially gave Oklahoma 13 points on turnovers. They had a fumble that was returned for 7, and then 2 interceptions that both followed up with 3 points for a shorter field for Oklahoma to go get 3 points. So 13 points that you gave Oklahoma on offensive turnovers. Early on, too, in the second half, it was a pretty good fight. I thought there wasn't really many turnovers or anything like that in the second half for Tennessee, and it's not like they gave it away in the second half or anything, but just allowing Oklahoma to answer back, and then you followed up with 2 straight 3 and out. So Tennessee takes the lead 17-16, and then they allow Oklahoma to answer back and go up 23-16 or 23-17, and they follow that up with another 3-and-out. Then Oklahoma goes out and they score again, and so after that it was all she wrote. They were playing catch up there, and it was just too little, too late. But again, this was Tennessee's game there in the second half, and they just let Oklahoma hang around, and they were not able to execute and put them away when they had their opportunities, because they had back-to-back drives. They had an opportunity to do so, and they weren't able to get anything going on offense, both 3-and-outs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the box score is definitely misleading in this one for sure. Obviously, Oklahoma won the turnover by they forced 3 turnovers to 2 for their own. And I just think they were just such critical turnovers for Tennessee too. Like you said, the strip sack that was returned for a touchdown, and then really just 2 bad picks for Joey Aguilar, throwing into zone coverage there, deep down the field. Just, I mean, those are balls that just can't be thrown there. That were just pretty easy interceptions for Oklahoma secondary. I thought, and more times than not, the team that leads in rushing is going to win the game. That's exactly what we had here. I mean, Oklahoma outrushed Tennessee 192-63. I mean, we know this Tennessee team wants to run the football, held to a season low in that regard. And then on the flip side, Tennessee's defense allowed 5.5 yards a carry, which is the highest this year for them. And then, I mean, like I said, we talked about Oklahoma several weeks ago, them not being able to run the football. But Xavier Robinson, he's really emerging for this Oklahoma offense. Had a 100-yard game. They needed somebody in that backfield to kind of take the bull by the horns and step up back there, and he's definitely been emerging here over the last couple weeks and giving a big boost to that Oklahoma offense. And although they didn't light it up, I thought John Mateer, looked a lot better this week. I thought, stats are not going to pop off the sheet at you, but thought he looked healthier, thought he's moving around better. I know he didn't have a lower body injury, but just seemed to be moving around a little bit better. Thought the hands looked better the further he gets away from that surgery. So, this was a really big win for them to come on the road. Like I said, force a couple key turnovers. They were great at special teams too. I mean, the kicker with a shorts, man. I mean, just absolutely bombing kicks left and right all night. His name's slipping my mind, but I mean, they were great in special teams aspect as well. Big reason they end up winning such a close game here in Neyland. But I thought Tennessee's offense would be able to generate a little bit. I mean, they did in the passing game, but ultimately the turnovers just were too costly to overcome.
Yeah. I want to touch on this Ole Miss South Carolina game. South Carolina, man, they had a chance to make this ugly for for Ole Miss early. Ole Miss is driving down I believe it was their second drive of the game. They get all the way down to the 1-yard line. They have first and goal from the 1, and South Carolina is able to hold them to force them to 3. I believe it was 10-0 or 10-7 at that time. And then South Carolina, they end up being forced to punt. Ole Miss muffs a punt. South Carolina recovers it, gets a short field, punches it in the end zone. Other than that, really, South Carolina didn't have anything going for them. This was a kind of similar to Auburn was Saturday. South Carolina had 12 possessions. 8 of them ended in a punt or a turnover on downs. 2 of them ended in an interception. 2 of them were touchdowns. 1 of them was on that short field where they had to drive like 5 yards. So Ole Miss, on offense, they didn't really rely on throwing it all that much. They didn't rely on Trinidad Chambliss to throw it. They took what they gave them, but they ran it at will, man. I mean, they ran for 258 yards, 5.7 average. 45 carries, 257 yards. They ran all over South Carolina. They did whatever they wanted to offensively. Again, they were taking chunk plays through the air when it was there, but for the most part, they just handed it off and let Lacey go to work. He had a phenomenal game. Keelan Lacey did 160-something yards, I believe. But I thought that South Carolina had their chances, especially early, to really put Ole Miss on their heels, and they just weren't able to capitalize and do anything, because when the Ole Miss finally got the ball back, I believe they scored in 2 or 3 plays, and then after that they took a 17-10 lead or 17-7 lead, whatever it was at that time. I believe it was 17-17. Once that happened, Ole Miss ran away with it, and it was their game.
Yeah, I mean South Carolina lost the turnover battle. Obviously, got dominated in rushing 258 to 50, and then red zone. I mean South Carolina was 1-1 in the red zone, but Ole Miss was 5 of 5, so they were cashing in on their opportunities. Like I said, ran the football at a really good clip, and like I said, thought from it was close there early, but I thought they took hold in the second half and was able to put the game away. Like you said, South Carolina's been really struggling offensively now. Offensive coordinator Mike Shula is out of a job. He got fired on Sunday, so they will move in a different direction there in Columbia. But yeah, it's been a tough go for the most of this year for the South Carolina offense. Obviously struggling on the offensive line. Outside of Lenore Sellers, just don't have much of a run game at all. So pretty much everything's been on his shoulders and on his legs, and just a really solid win for Ole Miss. Like I said, I thought they really took firm control of this in the second half and put this one away.
Yeah, and Ole Miss is sitting in the driver's seat, controlling their own destiny, which we've heard that before under Lane Kiffin the last few years. They got the Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State coming up. They just got to go 2-3 the next 3 weeks, and they're in the playoffs. They'll be 10-2. I think they realistically can end this season at 11-1. That's what I'm expecting them to do. I think obviously they're going to handle the Citadel. I think for sure they split Florida Mississippi State. Mississippi State's a rivalry game. Mississippi State is playing really well. They're taking teams down to the wire that they have no business being on the field with. So anything can happen in that game. But I truly think that Ole Miss is going to be sitting there at 10-2 or 11-1 at the end of the year. Again, sitting in the driver's seat, controlling their own destiny. Can Lane Kiffin finally punch his ticket to the college football playoffs this year?
I believe he will. I think, like I said, I think they're going to end this year strong. And not to go off on a scheduling tangent, I guess, but we've talked about this before, and I'm look like I said, I pulled up the rest of their schedule as you were talking about it. The Egg Bowl, man, it's at Friday at 11, man. What are we doing, man? Bag this thing up to freaking Thanksgiving night, man. I want to be watching the Egg Bowl when I go back for my second helping, man.
Amen.
Or third helping, whatever at that point. So, yeah, man, travesty to have this game on at Black Friday at 11 a.m., which is a great slate that day. You got Georgia Tech. You've got obviously A&M Texas that night, which is perfect.
Yeah, but that's a standalone Thursday night slot.
I'm telling you, it'd be perfect. I'm fine with Georgia Tech being at 2:30. That's fine. Texas A&M. It's perfect Friday night. Perfect spot for them. Man, just back this Egg Bowl up, man, about 15 hours, man. It'd be perfect. Go back to the Thursday night special. I know you don't want to go head-to-head with the NFL. I get it, but, man, come on now. It's got to be Thanksgiving night. It just doesn't have the same aura, man, at Friday at 11. But regardless, it's going to be a really great game. Ole Miss will be coming off a bye going into rivalry week there. So, but I think they're going to close the deal this time and punch a ticket to the college football playoff. Even if they do lose one, they're going to be sitting in good position here.
And speaking of the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State took on Arkansas this weekend, and at one point in the game, closer in the third quarter, they were down 2 touchdowns. Mississippi State is able to come back, find a way to keep getting points. And on their final drive of the game, Mississippi State completes 2 fourth downs. One of them was a 4th and 13 or something like that. Got a first down right down there on the sideline. Great catch. And then the other one was the game-winning touchdown on 4th down. Arkansas player missed a tackle there at the line to gain, and then the Mississippi State receiver was able to take it to the house and take the lead. And then Arkansas couldn't do anything after that. Ended up getting an intentional grounding. Mississippi State got the ball back on the 2-yard line, kneeled it out. But Mississippi State had 3 sacks and 4 tackles for loss. Arkansas had 2 sacks and 10 tackles for loss. So it was not a super perfect game on the offensive side for either team. Mississippi State threw for 282 to Arkansas's 194. Arkansas ran it for 239 to Mississippi State's 106. Pretty even on third down, 6 of 14 for Mississippi State, 7 of 16 for Arkansas, 3 of 4 for 4th down for Mississippi State, 2 of 3 on 4th down for Arkansas. But the egregious penalty here that really, really, really cost Arkansas this game, Mississippi State had 4 penalties for 30 yards. Arkansas had 18 penalties for 193 yards. How undisciplined do you have to be to give yourself 200 yards of penalties? 200 penalty yards, dude.
Crazy.
And they were still up late in the game. They were up and had a chance to win this game. But this Arkansas team reminds me a lot of Auburn this year. They just find ways to lose ball games. They're in it in the end. They're up, and they just find a way to give it away. Last week against Auburn, 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter to give Auburn the win. This weekend, they can't protect him. He's getting sacked. They can't run the ball in the second half or later in the game. They're not in the position to run the ball later in the game, so they're having to rely on the pass game. Mississippi State's able to get after the quarterback. And the backup quarterback from Mississippi State, his name's slipping me. Help me out. Number 1. He came in for Shaping, and he actually...
Camario Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor. His second play, I think, went for a touchdown pass. He looked good. The moment was not too big for him. He took a couple of snaps, I think he threw five passes, ran it a couple of times. So he played a decent amount, especially in the third quarter, and led them pretty well. Man, this Mississippi State team, their offense is phenomenal. They can play with anybody. Defensively, you're going to have to score. That's your defense for Mississippi State, is you just got to score more than the other team. But this... I know that what the Arkansas fans are feeling. I'm feeling it too. I get it, but man, it was cool to see Mississippi State finally get over the hump and get a conference win. They've been so close so many times this year, but they finally to get over the hump, and then on their last drive, 2 different times on fourth down, they're able to convert and go in the game. I thought that showed a lot of the character and the culture of that program, but also I was happy to see Mississippi State and Levy finally get another conference win and get over the hump. And they're sitting at 5 wins, and their over under this year was 2.5 or 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about in the preview last week. I mean, one of the main points we made was, who's going to close this game out? We knew this was going to be a close game in the fourth quarter. Both these teams have struggled mightily to close games out. Both teams have been in position to win multiple SEC games and just have not been able to close the deal. Mississippi State, obviously, with a late surge, down 2 touchdowns, was able to come back and win this thing. They were the team that found a way to close it. So, like you said, I thought really cool to see. I mean, obviously, 2 teams that desperately needed a conference win, both being winless. And, like I said, I thought Mississippi State did a phenomenal job down the stretch. Penalty yards for Arkansas, unlike we haven't seen in a long time. I can't remember the last team that had almost 200 yards of penalties. I know Alabama had 17 penalties at Tennessee in 2022 and lost that game. So, I mean, that's pretty close. I don't think it was quite 200 yards, though. I think it was like 140 or 50 or something. But, it was crazy. But, like I said, this Mississippi State team, man, they just they've been fighting, but they finally found a way. I like what I saw from them. Like I said, Arkansas, I mean, they're a tough out. You're not going to have it easy against them. Their offense is dynamic, but just too many flaws for them to consistently find ways to win it. But ultimately, really impressed with State, especially in the fourth quarter, for them finding a way. And like you said, sitting at 5 wins now when nobody expected that at all. I'm really curious to see if they can find one more here down the stretch and go bowling. That would be a huge step in year 2 under Jeff Lebby.
Yes, for sure, and then he's going to be a hot name for the next coaching searches come next season, I truly believe. Moving into Week 11, got some good SEC matchups this week. Georgia is going to Mississippi State. Last year, Georgia was a 20-something point favorite. This year, Georgia's only a 7.5 point favorite. Over-under is 57.5. I'm going to be honest. I think Georgia wins this game. I think offensively they've been playing a lot better early. For sure, they've been starting out a lot better than they have been. We know how Georgia is in the second half. I don't think Mississippi State is going to be able to stop them too much defensively. I think they're going to get theirs on offense, but I think Georgia's going to force more stops than Mississippi State is. Staying away from the total, but I like Georgia minus 7.5.
Yeah, I'm going with Georgia here as well. I know Mississippi State has kept things close. I think they got a real chance here to keep this one close as well. I wouldn't be shocked if it was in the number. I'm gonna look pretty hard at that number. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of points scored in this game. Mississippi State, I think they're gonna find a way to generate some points against this Georgia defense, and I know Georgia's gonna find a way to manufacture a lot of points against this Mississippi State defense. So I'm kind of feeling like it's gonna be maybe a little bit higher scoring game. I think Mississippi State is good. Just the way both these teams have been playing, like Georgia's been in so many close games, I don't have a reason to feel like, oh, they're just gonna turn it on all of a sudden, beat them by 28 points or anything like that. So I think it's gonna be relatively close. But like I said, the way Georgia's been finding ways to win games, the way they're playing offensively with Gunnar Stockton and Zachariah Branch, man, he was a huge part of that offense last week, really leaning on him and his playmaking ability. So I love what I saw out of that combo in the game against Florida. So I think Georgia goes on the road and gets a win here in Starkville.
All right, one of the better games this weekend, one of the ones I'm most pumped about. A&M's going to Missouri. A&M's a 6.5-point favorite, over under 48.5. I'm not picking a line, not yet anyway. I like the over in this game. I think both these offenses are going to find ways to score some points. I like the over. If I had to pick a line right now, I'd pick A&M to cover. But man, this Missouri team, they're legit. They're a damn good football team. Give me the over 48.5. Staying away from the line as of right now. Not making a pick on that yet. But I am going to take the over 48.5.
Yes, an interesting game. I mean, obviously with Bo Perbula and his injury, going to be starting a freshman quarterback who's played well when he's gotten his run this year at times in Matt Zoller. So I'm like you, it's just a little uncertainty there for me with Missouri. I mean, both teams are coming off a bye, so both teams are going to be fresh here. But I'm with you. I'm not going to pick this line, but I would probably lean A&M's direction if I had to. So therefore, I think A&M's going to go on the road and win this game. Especially without Bo Perbula going for Missouri. But I think I'm like you. I do like the over here too. Definitely think both these defensive lines can disrupt some things though. But I think both of the secondaries can be. Especially Missouri's, I think, is going to be a tough cover going against Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, like two of the better athletes in the country. I think they're going to have a chance to make a lot of plays on Saturday. So I'm going A&M's direction here.
Okay, Auburn's going to Vandy. I will be in attendance at this game in Nashville, newly renovated stadium.
Boots on the ground in Nashville, baby. Saturdays in the SEC.
So Vandy's a 6.5-point favorite, over under 45.5. Give me the under 45.5. Auburn's offense, horrendous. Hasn't been able to move the ball since they played South Alabama, for real. Like it's been really bad. Maybe in the first half, not in the second half. They can't consistently move the ball. Vanderbilt's going to be able to move the football. I think Vanderbilt finds a way to win this game. I think Auburn's defense continues to play really, really well. I don't think that Vanderbilt's going to go out there and score 30-plus on Auburn, but I don't think Auburn's going to get to the 14-point mark. So give me the under 45.5 here. Staying away from the line, I think Vandy finds a way to win, but I think it's a low-scoring ball game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Vandy finds a way to win it. I mean, I don't see any evidence of this game being a ton of separation. I mean, we know Auburn has literally been in every game they played in. You look at Vanderbilt's wins too, and even their losses. They lost by 16 in Tuscaloosa, but really, a play or two different. That's a closer game scoreboard wise as well. But they beat LSU by 7 at home. They beat Missouri by 7 at home. They lost by 3 at Texas, which I know that was larger for a big part of that game. But not a ton of blowouts. A lot of close games over the last 4 weeks. I don't see any reason this one's going to be different. I'm like you, think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring. Don't think either offense is going to light things up. But I definitely like Vandy better offensively right now. That's not saying a whole lot, but teams have been getting the interim coach bump lately, man. I mean, you look at Florida, the way they played after. That's one thing that scares me about LSU this weekend. Even UAB, they got an interim coach. They literally had the worst defense in Division One, and they beat Memphis the week after they fired Trent Dilfer. So, interim coaches, man, there's been a little bump there. We'll see if that continues with DJ Durkin this weekend. But I'm going Vandy, but I'm going Vandy pretty close here.
All right, LSU going to Alabama. They're looking to play spoiler. Their season, what they wanted with their season, it's not going to happen this year. They were thinking national championship, SEC championship. It's not happening this year. They're looking to play spoiler. A&M or Bama is a 10.5-point favorite at home. Over under 49.5. I know I said last week I don't like the double-digit favorites. I stayed away from the South Carolina or the Ole Miss South Carolina one. I should have taken it. I took the Auburn one. Should have stayed away from it. I'm taking Bama this week, minus 10.5. I think they've got something to prove. They have been come out ranked number 4 in the first college football playoff. They want to go prove that they are the best team in college football. I don't think, obviously, huge rivalry game here with LSU, Alabama. Alabama has owned LSU since 2019. LSU, that was the last time LSU won, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, they won in 2021 or 2022, Brian Kelly's first year.
That's right.
Other than that, though, Bama has dominated this rivalry. I think they continue that this year. I think they're hitting their stride, getting hot at the right time. I don't think it's a close ball game. South Carolina gave them a scare. I think that was a little bit of a overlooking South Carolina, a little bit. I don't think they're going to overlook LSU, mainly because it is a rivalry game. I like Alabama to win by multiple touchdowns. Give me Alabama minus 10.5.
I don't think I'm going to go that far with it because I haven't seen, enough explosiveness out of Alabama's offense to really, I guess, pull away from teams a little bit. I do think LSU's going to come in super inspired under Frank Wilson, their interim head coach, a guy that played there that's been in that program. I definitely think they're going to come out. We're going to get their best shot. I definitely believe that. So I'm not going to pick the line. I do think Alabama's going to win this game. I just think schematically, this Alabama defense matches up really good with the LSU offense. I mean, you look back over the last year and a half or more under Kalen DeBoer, under Kane Womack's defense. Who is the offense they played best against, and that or who they defend the best against, and that was LSU last year in Death Valley. Held them to, I believe, 42-13 final. They got a late touchdown, but I just feel like this is good matchup wise. Now, I do want to see Ryan Grubb said in his press conference this week they've really done a ton of internal scouting to work on their run game and finding ways to be able to run the ball more effectively. So I want to see if there's what difference is made there, and are they able to be a little bit more effective? And also explosive plays. They were so close to hitting a couple against South Carolina. I know that ability's in there somewhere. We just haven't seen it yet. So those are two things for Alabama's offense that I'm looking for little differences after the bye. So with that being said, I'm not going to take the line, but I think Alabama finds a way here. I just, like I said, double digit scares me a little bit. I do think Alabama wins the game, but those are a couple aspects that I'm looking at on Saturday night.
All right, final game of conference this weekend. Florida's going to Kentucky. Florida's a 3.5-point favorite. Over/under set at 43.5. Give me Florida to cover minus 3.5. I really, really, really liked what I saw from them offensively this past week. Kentucky, they're just not that good offensively or defensively. I think Florida's able to find a way to move the ball consistently on offense. And we've praised Florida's defense consistently this season. Their defense is extremely good, much better. They're a lot like Auburn in that way, and Mississippi State in that way, where Mississippi State's offense is extremely good, championship caliber, but their defense is not good. That's what I feel like with Florida's defense and offense. Their defense, I feel like, is championship caliber. Their offense is not so good, in my opinion. I think, though, that their offense found their stride this past week. I think they're able to find a way to come in here and win by more than 3 points. Give me Florida minus 3.5, under 43.5.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I think Florida minus 3 or minus 3.5. I think that's getting close to lock of the week territory for me. I like Florida a lot in this game. I think if we see a similar effort that we saw a week ago, I definitely think they're going to do that. I like Florida here minus the points. I think they're going to go and hopefully be able to close this year pretty strong. I mean, they got Florida State down the stretch. Maybe they can find a way to get a couple wins here and end it on a positive note. I mean, like I just look at the talent. Like I'm going to bet on talent more often than not here, and Florida's a lot more talented team than Kentucky is. And like I said, if we get an inspired effort like we got against Georgia, I think they're definitely covering this 3.5.
100%. You got anything else you want to cover?
Man, really just want to appreciate everyone tuning in. It's going to be a really exciting coaching carousel the rest of the way. Got a lot of big games down the stretch. I mean, kind of a little early preview here. That last week, rivalry week, is shaping up to be something special. I mean, the way Texas and Texas A&M are trending, Georgia Tech, obviously Egg Bowl, Iron Bowl. I know it's an interim head coach spot, but we know how it goes down there, and Alabama's played in a ton of close games. So, Ohio State finally, I think, plays a team that can challenge them there in the last week in the Big House. So, man, just an early preview on that rivalry week, I think, is shaping up to be something special. Initial college football playoff rankings are out tonight.
It just felt like we were doing our previews, and now we're in week 11. Like, dude, this season, we say it every year, but this season has flown by, man. Like, already going into week 11.
It's crazy, man. I mean, like you said, the second week of November coming up, it's unreal. But good thing is, man, we got all the way to January 20th, the national title game. Coaching carousel is literally just heating up. I mean, there's so much. I mean, there are more dominoes to fall. There's no doubt about it. And then, then that's probably going to open up other jobs depending on, if Lane moves or Eli Drinkwitz moves or so on and so forth. It's going to open up just Pandora's box. So it's going to be super exciting, man. We've got more to talk about than we've got time over these next 2 months. So I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. And just be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on TikTok, getting a lot of traction over there. We appreciate that a lot. Shorts on YouTube, appreciate that. The views and the comments on that. We love hearing your guys' feedback. So appreciate it very much, guys, and can't wait to be back next week, talk some more ball.
Thank you, guys.